we've got a number of new processes which I'm really excited about. One is in our buffing department. I can remember years and years ago that there were so many manual processes about buffing by hand and getting in and doing all the rough buffing. We still have a lot of manual buffing, but when we got to the end of the stage where you're going to color buff it, meaning and making it the perfect finish before you either silver plate it or you put a lacquer coat on it, that was always, and it still is to some degree, a very manual process. But we've taken actually some of the work out by bringing in some mechanical buffers, basically drum buffing, where we're having particles where we'll put instruments or parts into these big drums and they tumble through a bunch of media, which is usually organic material like walnut shells, tiny shells or corn cob shells, and things like that. And so it takes some of the manual work out of it. And so it helps us from a production standpoint where it's not as labor intensive for the buffers, because a lot of the hard work is done in these automated processes. But it lets them focus on just doing that final color buff and finish at the end of the process to make it the finish that we want it to be. So that's new. But one of the other things that is brand new, which I'm really excited about, and it's kind of surprising it's taken this long, since we're a brass manufacturer, meaning we manufacture brass instruments. One of the things that we've never had the capabilities of is to be able to quantify and verify ourselves the quality of the material that we're getting. So when we actually buy material that we use to make a Bach Stradivarius trumpet, for example, we ask for a very specific alloy to the mill that's going to supply the brass, and it's got to have very specific contents of let's say copper and zinc and nickel and other alloys that are in it. So we have to be very specific. And so they have to certify when we get this material in, it comes with a certification saying, this is what you asked for, and we certify that that's what this is. However, we don't really know that that's what that is, other than this is what they say it is. And to know that, we would have to take a piece of it, we would have to send it out to a lab out of state, and it would take weeks before we could get back confirmation that yes, it is indeed the material that we have spec'd and that we have asked for. But we now have put in a state-of-the-art MET lab, or materials laboratory, in the plant, where we have a lot of equipment now that we can actually in real time take and we can analyze surface quality of incoming material, raw material. We also have an XRF scanner, which is an X-ray scanner, which in a matter of about 6 seconds, we can scan through X-ray raw brass material or raw material of any kind, and it will tell us digitally exactly what the contents of that metal is. Because it's really critical that we know what the content of all the alloys are going into the making our instrument. Because if you think about what makes a Bach sound like a Bach, one of those critical areas is the quality of the material. So that's one of the processes that makes a Bach sound like a Bach. And now we have our own capabilities to assure that we do have the material that we are needing and what we're specifying. So that's been a really welcome change to the plant. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's new.